Southwest Border Contingency
What's up, YouTube?
It's just another gimmick.
Okay. So, anyway. I made a video a while back, a couple weeks ago, I think, about a woman who got arrested on the beach for masturbating, for having an orgasm on the beach. She had a dildo, I guess. And what I noticed about the video, what I noticed about the situation, was how she was convinced that there was nobody around, that nobody could have saw her, right? She was convinced of that. Now, I noticed that. So I thought, well, what if they had some, technology where they could spy on somebody, right? And they wouldn't be able to admit what technology they had, right? They wouldn't be able to admit it, but they would just have to go and get the person to tell on themselves, right? They'd have to start questioning you, and they would rely on somebody telling on themselves then, right? And that's what I speculated too. I said I would like to see, the accuser. I'd like to see like a recording or something of them saying, of that phone call. There should be a phone call, right? There should be a recording of an anonymous phone call. I'm just saying I have more questions because with the technology, the possibilities, and are they abusing technology? Are they abusing the fact that people have the belief that they're private? That if everybody knew that they could just spy on all of us at any given time, and they were doing it, and that they were actually doing it. If that's true, and everybody knew that, do you think everybody'd be okay with it? I don't think so. Do you think this woman would have done what she did on the beach, under the water, where she was convinced nobody could see what she was doing? And like I said, what really was she doing? They charged her with indecent exposure. According to her, she didn't reveal any body parts. Like I said, if I scratch my balls, am I going to get arrested for scratching my balls? You know what I mean? What really are we coming to here? But then I posted that, and of course, the only flack I got was my brother saying something about, I don't know, that he says anything about everything, so I'm not worried about that. But I said about that, and then I came across this video today from Here's the Deal. Okay, Here's the Deal. He reviews different situations, body cams, and situations where cops are totally, they're tyrants. They violate people's constitutional rights, their privacy. They're thieves, they're bullies, they're deceptive. They don't help anybody. They don't protect and serve anybody. Most of the time, there's no victim. They're just bullies, and they're, okay, like what they did to this woman here. It was totally uncalled for. And now I don't necessarily think it was the individual police that arrested her that was at the problem here. The problem is the, how police are trained and whatever, the chain of command. Well, somebody called, so if they wouldn't, I don't care. She says, the one police officer says to her, I don't really care what you did. It's just that somebody saw you, so they called. So, see, if you're going to do something like that, don't get caught, she said, right? So I don't know, but here's what I want to point out. This video that I saw, this was not in the video that I put out. It's not like I missed it. It just wasn't in there in the video that I put out. There's a part in this video where she says something, okay? She says something that would actually suggest more of my theory, what I was talking about, right? And I'm going to play it for you, and then we'll talk about it after that. So,
Something you weren't supposed to be doing. What were you doing on the beach?
There was nobody. I was just sitting on my tail. Nobody was around me.
All right. Well, like I said, someone called and they saw you doing something you weren't supposed to be doing.
No, that's not true. Okay, look, is this something that my phone should be off for or off for?
So apparently you're masturbating on the beach.
Okay, because I was by myself. The only way that somebody would have called you is if it was a military operation. They're doing this.
Right there. All right. Now, you heard what she said, right? It's like she already knows about certain technology, right? She says the only way somebody would have called you is if it was a military operation. Like, she's knows that they can see her, and she's aware of a certain technology or something. That's kind of the vibe I got from it, the way she said that, is the only way that somebody could have called you is if it's a military operation. Somebody looking at it, it's a military-grade camera equipment, military-grade footage or satellite cameras, right? Or something like that. That's the only way. But she's like, there's no way somebody else saw anything, right? Or whatever technology she's alluding to. She calls that right off the bat. That wasn't in my video. The video that I put up a couple weeks ago, that clip was not in there. I never heard that before. She never, somebody just conveniently clipped that out. And then I had somebody in the comment section who asked me if that was the same woman that was found dead in her apartment afterwards. And I said, well, I don't know. I said, can you send me a link? I asked the person. I don't know if they responded or not, but I didn't know anything about that. But then I came across this video here, okay? And apparently this incident took place in 2021. I think they said 2021 is when it took place. And then this woman, though, did get charged and everything, but she was found dead in her apartment, or her townhouse, or her apartment, whatever. And I guess, according to the report, it's a very suspicious situation, like suspicious circumstances that she was found under. But what they did, how they ruled her death, and you'll see. Just watch, okay?
The video that was launched on November 22nd that has gone viral. As of the recording of this video, it's knocking on the door of 10 million views in a little under a month. On July 1st, 2021, the Tybee Island, Georgia Police Department got a call that a woman was pleasuring herself on the beach in front of families with little kids. Now, if you read the comment section, there are a lot of people who were surprisingly sympathetic to the woman, and even some who offer some great advice anytime you come in contact with law enforcement. Yeah. Or rather, anytime law enforcement makes contact with you.
Yeah,
I'm going to play the interaction between the Tybee cops and Christina Glick, and we'll talk about some do's and don'ts that we all need to keep in mind when dealing with badged authoritarian order followers.
How do celebrities like Justin Bieber and The Rock generate hundreds of millions of dollars? It's actually...
Look what they did to her, too. They walked her through that whole restaurant in cuffs.
Officer Dollar Type. Can we speak to you for a second? We'll get you over there. Go ahead and bring your stuff. Yep.
I have some further theories about this now. We'll just watch the whole thing here.
Alright. What's your name, ma'am?
Chris?
Chris?
Do you have your ID on you? Chris. Yeah, can I ask what the problem is?
Alright, so someone called us. We got multiple calls about you. About something pertaining on the beach.
Yes.
Were you supposed to be, were you doing something you weren't supposed to be doing?
What?
Like, what were you doing on the beach? Like, prior to coming here? Prior to coming here.
Now I just want to stop it there for a second because I just want to point something out. They're not even... Like, the whole purpose of them going there is they need her to confess to it. Because if they had anything else, if they had anything else at all, they wouldn't have even bothered. They would have just arrested her. Okay? They needed her to confess to it. If there was a caller, anonymous caller, that called in and said this, okay? What do you think the cops would have done at that point? Right at that point, before they came out and questioned her? They would have asked the anonymous caller to write a statement. Okay? They would have asked if that anonymous caller would be willing to put that on a piece of paper with their signature. Would you be willing to testify to that on a sworn affidavit? That's what they would have asked the caller, okay? At which point, if it's an anonymous caller, which obviously they didn't get a statement from anybody, right? Or they wouldn't have been doing what they're doing here. Anytime a cop asks you questions, his intention is to have you incriminate yourself, okay? He's trying to get you to incriminate yourself. That's all that he's doing. He's not curious about your day. He's not curious, where you're off to today and, what your favorite color is and what your favorite pastime is. No. He's only asking you shit to try to deceive you, get you on his side, and get you to incriminate yourself. And they're not going to tell you when you do, Most people don't realize this. They just, they just talk to cop. Oh, it's just a cop, and I didn't really do anything wrong. If I'm this woman, I'm thinking, okay, what the hell's going on here? She hasn't had a past experience with cops who have, back to Bluetooth, what happens to you, right? Once you have one of these experiences, then you know what I'm talking about. Abe, I've had an experience like this, several actually, where I didn't do anything wrong, where cops just blatantly lied about me, completely made shit up, and then spread it all over the place, right? To my family, everybody, and it's built on complete lies, okay? So you need to lose that thought. If you have this belief that if a cop's looking for you, or if you get charges, then you must have done something wrong, you got to get rid of that fucking belief, because that is bullshit. Of course, a lot of times I'm sure that is the case. I'm sure it is, right? Or it wouldn't work. They wouldn't be able to get away with doing this so much if that wasn't the case most of the time. But there's a lot, and a lot more than you would imagine. A lot more situations that you would imagine where they embellish everything. They just bullface lie. Every police affidavit I've ever looked at, to my knowledge, given the information that that I get from every single one where I have more than just a police affidavit, they lie. Every time. They just lie on that police affidavit. They're allowed to wait until everything's all done, right? And they can rewrite that report over and over again until they have a final draft, right? And that's what gets input. That's what gets submitted in the charges when they submit it for a warrant or for an arrest. So that's wrong right there. They are in the practice of being able to, do a rough draft, and then they can tweak words around and everything else, because that's what they're going to present in court. Okay. Now the defendant doesn't get that chance to change his story around and make sure everything's lining up just right, and everybody's crossing their I's and dotting their T's, and everybody's on the same page. Yeah. No, the defendant doesn't get that. I mean, you have your right to due process, and you can prepare your case, your defense, and you can, get discovery and learn everything that they are going to use against you, and you have time, the due process to plan your defense and everything in court. But it's their game, not yours. They're making you play it. It's not like everybody's a law expert. This is not common knowledge for everybody, and that sucks. That's a problem, because they exploit that. So anyway, she even asks, is this something I need like my lawyer for, or do I need to have my phone on? And they just beat around the bush, and they're just asking her, trying to get her to admit. That's what they need. I don't think that they have an anonymous caller. It doesn't seem like it, because you would think that they would use that. If they had somebody, they would say, well, we have somebody who's, willing to testify that they saw you. They'll throw that in there. Especially if it helps get a confession. They're not just gonna bluff and lie about that. That's a pretty big one there. If they lie, that's entrapment. But if they lie to get a confession like that, that's kind of entrapment. But in this case, they don't allude that they have somebody willing to testify to that. They don't allude to any of that. They just immediately, did you do something you're not supposed to do? What were you doing on the beach before you came here? They don't even tell her she's in trouble or anything. They're just like, they're trying to get to the bottom of something. She could be a witness to something. Who knows? She don't know. They don't tell her she's in trouble yet. They don't tell her she did something. They said, did you do something you're not supposed to do? Like as in, it was probably innocent. Just tell us so that we can just clear this up. I mean, really, if I scratch my balls, okay, and they ask me, did you do something you're not supposed to do? And I'm racking my brain. I'm like, well, no. I wouldn't think that that I did anything wrong if I scratched my balls, right? Just like she could have been doing, right? If she didn't expose herself, okay? I can shove my hand in my pants and scratch my balls. Is that illegal? Is that illegal? I mean, this is where the lines get a little blurred, right? What is indecent exposure? That's revealing your private parts, you know? That's revealing that in public. So it's in the view of another person in public, right? So just for a lesson to be learned. Unfortunately, this woman won't get to learn a lesson. She's dead. She's dead. But if you're watching this, make sure that you understand if you ever have to deal with police, it's best just to shut your mouth. Just shut your mouth. You know? Unless you're probing them for information, unless you're trying to be able to, you know, that's different. But when they're questioning you, you know, you're not allowed to obstruct justice, okay? You're not allowed to, like, say you saw somebody run down the south, towards the south, you know? And you tell them, oh, yeah, he ran up that way, towards the north. That's obstruction of justice. That's, you know, that's leading them the wrong way. That's purposely misleading them to obstruct justice, okay? But there's nothing says, the Supreme Court even ruled on this, that you do not have to help them incriminate you. You do not have to help them with their investigations. You do not have to help them. You do not have to answer their questions. They'll allude to it to you know, that you have to help them, that you have to cooperate. They'll say, oh, you're not cooperating with us. They'll even threaten you with obstruction. I've seen it. But don't believe them. They're allowed to lie to you. They're allowed to lie to you. They don't have to be held accountable for lying to you. If you lie to them, though, oh, you're done. That's false swearing to a law enforcement official. Okay, that's like lying to a cop. That's a big one. That's no good. You don't want that. And they often do that, you know. They love that power, that you are not allowed to lie to them. So they ask tricky questions to try to lead you into these lies. But, yeah, it's just real simple. I don't answer questions. You know. I don't answer questions. 4 simple words. Now, the correct way to do it, though, is to actually openly state, you know, I choose to invoke my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. They're not even allowed to use that against you. They're not allowed to say, well, you stayed silent, so they're not allowed to allude to the probability that you're hiding something because you exercised your right, because that is borderline violating your constitutionally protected right, okay? And judges don't put up with that shit. You know, judges will not allow that in a courtroom. They won't allow a lawyer to try to paint a picture of a defendant that like they don't want to talk because, you know, because they invoke their Fifth Amendment rights, so they're probably guilty. You're not allowed to do that. That's the judge will declare a mistrial on that. It's so use your rights. They were given to you for a reason. You know, people fought and died so that you have these rights for a very good reason. Very good reason. And we're approaching a point where these reasons are becoming relevant, you know. They're you can see very clearly now why they worded the Constitution the way they did, you know. So I'm going to play the rest of the video, but I mean, we can only speculate on what the deal was, but basically she's no longer with us, right? And the story they came out with, what you would read about in the media or whatever is the same script every time, right? When somebody dies with suspicious circumstances, right? And the cops don't investigate, you know, they don't investigate at all, and it's clearly suspicious. They always paint a picture, don't they? Like, this person was, they were mentally troubled. They were troubled. It's a downward spiral of drugs and alcohol. They always paint that picture, right? So that nobody goes and looks for questions. They just feel bad for somebody, you know, tragically losing their life at such an early age in their life. They had their whole life ahead of them. Why'd they have to choose alcohol and drugs, you know? when the question they should be asking is, you know, who was she talking to? What was she doing before that? Who was the last person to see her alive? I mean, there's questions in every situation that just don't get asked because they paint that same script narrative. It was a downward spiral with mental illness and drug abuse, okay? And this is what the same thing that they use on all TIs, right? They're saying it about me right now. Right now, you can look online right now and you could find a bunch of people commenting saying about me doing drugs, alluding to me doing drugs. So if I disappeared tomorrow, right, that's what they would say. They would say, oh yeah, well he was losing it. He was paranoid. He was saying people were following him around, and he was addicted to. He was a crackhead. He was doing meth, and he was in trouble with the law all the time, and he isolated himself, and he didn't talk to anybody. You see what I'm saying? How easy it would be for them to pull this shit. That's why it's important that everybody speaks out, especially if you're being, followed around, or if you're being smeared. The smear campaigns, the harassment, and the illegal community harassment or group stalking, okay, from somebody who can't get any answers. It's classified. They don't have to tell you, if you may or may not be on a federal watch list. They get mad at me for asking. They really, really wanted to know who told me that. They really wanted to know that. They're like, who told you that? Who told you you're on that was important to them. They really, really wanted to know who told me that I was on a federal watch list. It wasn't like oh, you believe that? Who told you that? No, it was like mad interrogating me, again, like I did something wrong, and they're trying to get to the bottom of it. And eventually they just told me I had to do a FOIA request, but they didn't tell me where to look. They didn't tell me what to look for. They didn't help me with that at all. They just said, I was told to tell you, this is the FBI told me this. I was told to tell you you have to do a FOIA request, and they hung up. Right? That's it. That was my FBI experience. And that's after couldn't call the local police because they're the ones doing it. And I called the DA's office to report it. And the DA's office, they acted as if they knew what I was talking about, and they didn't question it at all. Right? They said, okay, you can report that to the state police. They wanted me to call the state police and report it. So I did. Called the state police. I started explaining to him, and he said, oh, no, you got to call the DA's office. We're not going to go investigate and stuff like that because you're mad at a cop or something, Called the DA's office back, explained some more, and Amanda from the DA's office in Cambria County told me specifically to call the state police back, tell them that Amanda from the DA's office told me to call. So I did that again. And the same thing. I had the trooper to basically tell me that, he wouldn't even give me the time of day. He wouldn't even give me, he wouldn't even let me tell him what was going on. I just started telling him what the issue was, right? That the chief of police, has it out for me, right? That I'm being targeted. And that a bunch of people in this town, who are all in the same group, the firemen and the first responders and stuff, were doing this. And I said, he's been out to get me for a long time. And he said, well, we can't just go investigating a cop every time somebody gets mad because they got charged with something, right? That's what he said. He hung up on me. So he said I had to call the DA's office back. And I realized what was happening. They just play that game, right? It's just a game. Pass the buck. Hopefully I call enough times that they can label me as one of these abusive callers, one of these callers that they can put it in a file on my profile saying that basically I call the cops for no reason, right? So I'm sure they have this in their database that they share, a database where they punch my name in or something and it comes up, boy that cried wolf or something, So that was my experience. There's nobody to report it to. I reported to the Attorney General's office, and I never heard a damn thing there. I don't know if it ever even made it to the Attorney General's office or not. I have no idea. I filed IC3 report, never heard anything back with that. So the fact that I didn't get any response to my complaints there leads me to believe that they never received my responses because they were fucking with my network, right? So they were, they were hijacking my network, and they were grabbing everything in traffic and making sure it didn't get to its destination. Because I have lots of evidence to show that I didn't get emails that just show up months later. I don't know how I missed them. Like, they just showed up months later. They weren't there before, and then they just show up, I had that happen with voicemails on my phone. I've had it happen with several different things. And then, like, I go to look for it later on to use it as documentation or to evidence, and then, boom, that's gone then. So I can't even tell somebody and show them because they delete the shit off my phone. That's why I made the YouTube channel. Anyway, I didn't mean to get off on a tangent. Let me let you watch the rest of this video, and you be the judge. You tell me what you think, if there was some foul play, if maybe she knew about some classified technology, right? And it was gonna bring a light. Her case maybe would have brought people asking questions, right? That they would have had to, what has to happen if there's higher ups that are asking questions. They would have had to answer these questions, and if they were abusing, technology, investigative technology, they'd have to answer those questions, where a regular person would have no idea, what their tools are, what their resources are, whether or not they can use them, the investigative tools without probable cause and everything else. So, but the cops would know. They would know if they need to just take care of a problem or not, right? If somebody's just going to be a problem, they got to get rid of the problem, right? So it's just a speculation on my part, but the way this all came out, for me, I watched the video and I felt it was important. I put it on my channel. Then I get somebody commenting that woman died. Then I get this video, and then there's a missing piece that wasn't in my video where she says about a military operation. It's just, I'm not overreaching here. I'm not like reaching for, something. I want something to be there when there's nothing there or something. I'm just saying there's questions. There's questions that I'm sure inquiring minds would love to know. So let's watch the rest of the video here.
Were you at the beach at some point in time?
Okay, I don't understand. There was nobody. I was just sitting on my tail. Nobody was around me.
Okay, and you were over at the beach?
Like I was near the water.
Near the water?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, like I said, someone called, and they saw you doing something you weren't supposed to be doing.
No, that's not true. Okay, look, is this something that my phone should be off for or on for?
You could, whatever you want to do. It's your right. If you want to record this conversation, you can. But we are also recording, so.
When it's clear that police are investigating you, there is no law stating that you are obligated in any way to help them in their investigation of you. As a matter of historic fact, it's never a good idea to communicate with, let alone answer the questions coming from any police officer. They're collecting data on you, and anything you say can and will be used against you. See, Americans have the right to remain silent, but apparently few have the ability to do so. The fact is, you can get yourself out of a massive amount of trouble by simply zipping your lip. Unfortunately, Christina will keep talking.
Okay, can you show? I mean, who did I offend? I don't understand. What did I do?
So apparently you were masturbating on the beach.
Pay attention.
Who saw that?
I mean, a couple people.
No, they didn't. That's not true.
Why would they say that?
Okay, because I was by myself. Now, I will tell you this. The only way that somebody would have called you is if it was a military operation. They're fucking doing this.
Tonight's live stream, it's been a crazy...
The conveyor belt of illegal aliens roaring into the U.S. is at an all-time high. 16 point...
Were you doing something you weren't supposed to be doing? What were you doing on the beach?
There was nobody. I was just sitting on my tail. Nobody was around me.
All right. Well, like I said, someone called, and they saw you doing something you weren't supposed to be doing.
No, that's not true. Okay, look, is this something that my phone should be off for or on for?
So apparently you're masturbating on the beach.
Okay, because I was by myself. The only way that somebody would have called you is if it was a military operation. They're doing this.
See, she's like, she says that right away, is in like I said, I get the impression that maybe she was in the military, you know, and because she even alludes after this, she alludes to, did her buddies put them up to this or something, you know? Maybe she worked with technology like that in the military and she's aware of it. I don't know. She says it right away, like right off the top of her head.
There's a video that was launched on November 22nd that has gone viral. As of the recording of this video, amount of trouble by simply zipping your lip. Unfortunately, Christina will keep talking.
Unfortunately.
Okay, can you show? I mean, who did I offend? I don't understand. They didn't. That's not true.
Why would they call us that?
Okay, because I was by myself. Now I will tell you this: the only way that somebody would have called you is if it was a military operation. They're fucking doing this. Never mind. Okay,
I will tell you this: she was telling them that.
Nobody was around. Was it an anonymous call? Is this one of my buddies? Okay, one of my buddies.
No, it's not.
I'm telling you. It's a
family.
Okay, look, let me show you what I did.
Okay.
It really seems like there's
there
more
anything
to
in the
this.
bag?
She's trying to show them now.
No.
Is there if I look through? I mean, if you can
She
open
wants
it
to
and
show them
can I see the
so
contents
that they get an idea
Yes. Because I don't really
how
understand what
impossible
y'all.
it would have been
We're just here because someone
for
called
anybody to see her.
and
This
they're very concerned. Okay.
This is really highly offensive to me.
I got it. I got you, and that's why I'm trying to figure it out.
It's my vibrator, but I just put it in my. I was sitting on the beach, and I just. Okay. Do I get a ticket?
So you did have a vibrator.
Listen, I was sitting on the water like this, and I just put it in there, and it was covered up, and I just had an orgasm. I'm sorry, I was stressed out.
I got you. Okay, just
that
hang
a
tight for
crime?
me.
I'm sorry, nobody saw me. I was in the water. Okay, so if this is
Is that a
anonymous,
crime? What if you just have an orgasm and you can't help it?
Okay.
Right?
I mean, yeah.
People did see it. We didn't get a call for no reason.
I swear to God, I was sitting in the water. Nobody saw it.
I got you. Well, I mean, if nobody saw it, then they wouldn't have called, right?
Nobody saw it.
Man, please,
See how he
don't
says
do
that?
this to me. Are you serious?
Well, if nobody saw it, then they wouldn't have called. So, case closed. Case closed. Because we said somebody called. So, and if they wouldn't have saw it, then they wouldn't have called, right? So that would just stop anybody from asking any questions right there. Because most people are stupid and they just believe what cops say.
Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's okay for an adult to be pleasuring him or herself in a public place where there are kids around. On the other hand, that they would arrest this woman for this, and no arrests are ever made for certain parades on public streets and children's story hours in public libraries, is kind of baffling. If this woman had just remained silent instead of confirming the reason for the call, without video evidence, it would be mere hearsay and the cops would have absolutely nothing to go on. But she did open her mouth and she keeps talking.
You want to take primary, Nova?
I wanted to take it since he's talking.
Okay, I got you.
This is ridiculous. What am I being arrested for?
Indecent exposure.
Indecent exposure.
No, but I didn't have any of my body
Someone
parts
called.
out.
It doesn't
It's almost
matter.
like-
A family saw it. They had kids.
What? There
That's why
was
you
nobody around me.
So
See what I'm saying? It's almost like there's more to the story that imagine if somebody had a motive, right, to eliminate this woman, to get rid of a problem, right? And they had technology at their disposal, you know, and they're just waiting for an opportunity to do something like this, right? Just any opportunity to do this, among other things like smearing her name and whatever, you know, to take somebody out, right? This is how they would do it, isn't it? I would think.
Nothing
This
in
is
here
an
that shouldn't be in
opportunity to
here?
humiliate her,
No.
Okay.
right?
well, I'm just
To
gonna throw
get
this in here.
people
Okay.
angry at her, to get people against her.
Yeah.
What should they do next? See, this is absolutely ridiculous, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Adding
do this.
insult to injury,
Watch where they
the
march her.
woman is publicly shamed by being taken from the beach, through the restaurant, and to the patrol car in handcuffs. Did she harm anybody? No. Did she threaten anybody? No. Did she damage any property? No. Could the cops have exercised their discretion, written her a citation, and just let her be on her way?
Yeah.
Of course they could have. But they didn't. And now they're going to go through her belongings. Maybe they would have done it anyway, but they did get her half-hearted approval to go through her backpack while they were still out on the beach. And police will take every opportunity to do just that.
Is it all right if I look through it? I mean, if you can open it, and can I see the contents inside the bag?
Yes.
Okay. It's a bullet style.
I mean, look at this officer here. He looks like he's
Jesus.
he looks like he exercises on a regular basis, doesn't he?
You logging everything.
He doesn't look like a creep at all, does he?
Yep.
Code book, see what she was charged.
Okay. I mean, and she admitted to it, and she said she had an orgasm on the beach and all that other good mess. So, yeah. All right. Cool. It's 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock.
Stop! Stop making Amazon sellers rich. I hate to tell you this, but every single time.
I got you. And I mean, to be completely honest with you, I really don't care what you did, you know, but again, someone saw it, so that's why we're here, you know?
They keep saying that. Someone saw it. Someone saw it.
I mean, if you're gonna do something like that, you know, don't get caught. That's all I have to say, you know? So, I mean, I got nothing against you, you know?
Christina was charged with indecent exposure and disorderly conduct, which in the state of Georgia are misdemeanors. Now, this happened on July 1st, 2021. By March of 2022, Christina was dead. Her body was found decomposing in her apartment. According to what family members supposedly told the Daily Mail, they say that Christina Glick died by suicide, but, quote, had nothing to do with the Tybee Island beach incident or its recent resurfacing. According to the Daily Mail, Christina's life was a, quote, sorry tale of a downward spiral caused by drink and drug abuse that saw her cut off from those who once loved her the most and led to the university graduate and one-time realtor ending her own life in abject squalor. End
also,
quote. Apparently,
another pattern. You see the patterns? One-time realtor, right? I made the connection in the last couple videos ago about you know, these people in real estate and insurance companies and stuff like that. You know, how hard would it be for them to take out a life insurance policy on somebody? You get together and then they work out a plan to eliminate somebody, and then tell the story all that it was a downward spiral of, you know, and whatever it is, it was definitely not about that incident with the police. So do not look at the cops. Don't look at us. We didn't do it, you know.
after failing to pay rent, the landlady entered Christina's apartment and found her decomposing remains amidst a horrific scene where the apartment was spattered with blood in multiple rooms and on multiple walls and floors. If you read the police report, it looks more like it was a homicide than a suicide. But they claim she did the deed herself. I'll leave the link in the description if you want to read the horrific details. The point of this video is to reiterate that talking to cops is one of the worst things you can do, especially when their line of questioning has specifically to do with investigating you. Even if you committed the offense, lawyers will tell you that the best thing you can do is shut the frick up. Nothing good can come from you playing the cops' psychopathic mind games. Remember, they're also trained to lie to you. I agree with what this guy wrote in the comments under the viral video. All she had to do was remain silent the moment they accused her of any wrongdoing. Respectfully tell the officers that if she was being arrested, she would like to have legal counsel and decline to speak to them on the incident. It's hearsay evidence, and without any video evidence, they had nothing on her. But she confirmed what they saw and then confessed to what they saw. Just stay quiet and don't incriminate yourself in any way, because they will use it against you. Word of advice when dealing with law enforcement: just shut the frick up. Cooperate, but shut the frick up. Don't give them anything other than your ID. And even then, they need to meet the probable cause standard to even get that. Leave your thoughts about this for the world and the global thought police in the comments.
So, you heard it, right? I'm not, believe me, I'm not alone in this. There's pretty much anybody, and I mean anybody that has had an experience, right, with an officer, with the police, okay, where they, they get, okay, according to, the officers or whatever, they're criminals, they broke the law and everything, but it's, you got to look at the context of the whole thing. In most cases, and I agree with a lot of cases, it's some bullshit, and they don't get to tell their side of it. They just get labeled as this criminal, and then they get ostracized, and people just believe it. Simple as that. Most people, and I say most people that are in prison right now are in there on some bullshit. Straight up bullshit. Right? And that's why you are accountable for your actions. So it's important to know the law, but it's also very, and even more important, to understand how these people operate, how these police operate, and what they consider, how they can twist and mold the law around to fuck you over, okay? That's even more important than knowing the law, because, like I said, she didn't think she broke the law there. She didn't think that she exposed herself, right? She certainly wasn't disorderly, was she? So, I mean, but they get to do that to you first. Then you have to have your life flipped upside down, and everybody totally ridicule you, and they, your reputation's shot and everything else, and they have qualified immunity, and they have do whatever I want and get away with it badge. They don't care how many lives they ruin. I mean, how many lives did they save right there? Who did they help right there? Who did they help by doing that? Did they help anybody at all? Did they protect and serve anybody at all? You know what I mean? It's fucking ridiculous. I gotta be careful scratching my balls in public now, right? If I got an itch, my balls are itchy, I gotta really watch scratching my balls, right? I didn't know it'd be indecent exposure, if you scratch your private parts a little bit. So, I mean, hey, I don't have an issue, but some people, sometimes some people have an issue down there. They have products for it and everything. So it is what it is, It's a problem that a lot of people probably have. And are they all criminals? Are they all criminals because they touch their private parts through their clothes in public? I mean, come on, what really are we talking about here? So just remember, don't answer questions. Whatever you do, don't answer questions. They're not on your side. They're out to steal your money, steal your car, ruin your name, ruin your reputation, lock you up in fucking torture cuffs, and put you in the dungeon. All right? So, believe me, I'm as fair as the next guy. I'm easy to get along with. And even after being, totally fucking wronged by police over and over and over again, I still gave them the benefit of the doubt, and they're still just people at the end of the day. And there are good ones and there are bad ones. The problem is there's more bad ones than good ones, and that makes it hard for the good ones to do the right thing, right? Which in turn makes them not so good, right? Because then they don't have integrity, and we expect our cops to have integrity, right? We expect them to be the brave heroes, right? So they should be calling out their fellow cops if they see something wrong, see something, say something, right? But they don't. because that's the way it is, right? It is what it is. So just remember, don't answer questions. Don't answer questions. And as always, don't answer questions. Be good or be good at it. Peace out.